This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. And we are experiencing a full moon right now. What does that mean? Is this period more significant than, let's say, other full moons that we've maybe experienced in the last year or two? We're going to talk about that today, and as it applies to our lives, because this is what she does. She's the woman behind Whispering Soul, and it's astrology wellness coaching. She uses the power of astrology to help coach you and move your life forward. She's also our professional of the year. Nancy Volante is on the program with us. How are you?
I'm good, Steve. I'm good, and thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Great to have you here. And I'm almost embarrassed because I like to be plugged into things that are happening around us, even astrologically. This full moon escaped me. Like I don't know how that wasn't on my radar. I just realized it yesterday that we've got one. I don't know why that is. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know.
And I'm so glad that you bring that up because some full moons are are like you can feel them. You feel the energy and you're moving and you're going, and some of them that you don't. And it really all depends on what archetype the moon is in. So this full moon is Capricorn. And the signature moon in the full moon in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn today. And we usually can feel that 5 days before, 5 days after. So with the luminaries, because I'm going to say the sun and the moon, they're not considered planets, they're considered luminaries. They really do affect us every day. The sun is what keeps us going, our vitality. The moon is what keeps our inner tides, the tides of the ocean going, kind of everything in its rhythmic path, whether it's a lot or a little, or if it sneaks up on you like it did for Steve, or if it just like kind of hits you in the face. It's all different because the moon is our inner landscape. It's the landscape of our emotions. It also represents the people, the public, collectively. So individually, it's also our habits. Like what are our habits ever since childhood? What are those habits that come every cycle, depending what archetype it's on? So we get an opportunity, Steve, to look at what needs to be released and what needs to be illuminated or
Hmm.
to culminate every month, right? And so we get that opportunity. How wonderful the universe works. Now, whether we take that opportunity or not is our free will and our choice. And that's the other beauty. Sometimes we're just not ready or willing. Sometimes we're right there, right? So I can see how this full moon, as you said, snuck up on you because the moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is cardinal, which means it's the modality. It's got energy. It wants to move forward. It wants to have intention. It wants to build something. There's motivation, there's perseverance with cardinal energy, and particularly the perseverance and moving forward and goal oriented is Capricorn. And so it's earth, so it's practical, it's boots on the ground, it's like every day. Um, and it's yin, so it's feminine. So with that said, that Capricorn energy, I don't know, sometimes Capricorns get, each sign gets a bad rap,
Hmm.
now and then, or always, but it also has both sides of the coin. It has our higher self and it has our lower self. So this full moon in Capricorn is actually very significant on what is going on, and I'll mention that a couple days from now. So Capricorn, as I said, is the as I didn't say this, but is the builder. It rules our bones. It rules our framework, our foundation. How do we build? How do we build within our body wellness? If we're not well, how do we build in order to heal? And so Capricorn is dealing with also society, also dealing with values and morals, um, and also dealing with dreams. And because I say dreams, it's not in a Piscean sense where it's very inspirational dreams, but it's dreams that want to form into a concrete reality. Because you can't really have a vision without a dream, right? So with Capricorn, it's goal oriented, it's step oriented. It's also time and space, ruled by Saturn, karmic. So you can have a little bit of karma that we're feeling today, which is why this full moon in Capricorn, today is the day if you get triggered, is to keep it really zen. Don't try to project it out because it will most likely not work out.
Hmm.
So you want to keep that, if you get reflect, why am I getting triggered? How can I reframe this? Moon, how can I reframe my habits, my thoughts, and build something um, that I see in the future that might be more mindful. The last thing I want to add here is that on a spiritual level, Capricorn is soul, it has soul wisdom. It's the mature elder. And I also wrote down, it's our lineage inside and out. It's our roots. Because the opposite of Capricorn is Cancer. There's always a polarity. Cancer rules the bottom of the chart. Capricorn rules the top of the chart. It's just done so beautifully. Our foundation is Cancer through our lineage, through our family, through our roots, through our inner psychology of how we deal with safety and security. Capricorn at the 10th house is how do we bring that out into society through our values and morals and our motivation.
So I want to throw
That
this
was
to
a
you.
mouthful. Sorry.
No, I gotcha. I gotcha. And I wonder astrologically if there's a reason for this. And it's not just me. I've had others say this week. I had a reflection of something that took place in my life when I was in my low 20s. It was career related. It was a big event. Try to without going into the detail, just leaving that all out, not necessary. But it was big, and it came up in my memory for me. And no, even people had said to me, like, "Oh, you were being tested when that event took place." It was a news story related. I was working in media. I was involved in something, not by choice, but it all worked out. Um, but it came up and it presented, and it was an epiphany for me because I thought about it. I was like, "How'd you get through that? Right, if you could have done that, you could have done anything." I never looked at it that way, even
Right.
decades later until a few days ago. But I'm wondering with transits, why is that stuff coming up? Others have said the same thing. Yeah, I've had some thoughts about things from the past that just came up. I know we're not in a retrograde. We will be soon. But I'm just wondering, is there a reason? It was kind of random.
I really love that, Stephen. You are so right on. First, I wrote this down. You said the word tested. So I had Saturn rules Capricorn. So again, you could feel the full moon 5 days before, 5 days after. And Saturn and Capricorn will test you because they're dealing with time and space. They're dealing with karma because we have to deal with the past in order to have wisdom for the future and the present. So
Hmm.
it's not like, we dissolve the past, but we cultivate it into a way that is now very wise. And Saturn in Capricorn is the elder. So you're older now. So whatever that thought was that came and that experience that came up for you, now you're at an older, wiser age, you know, the question, oh, did it trigger you? Or how does that make me feel now? Where have I come? What do I need to work on in order to manifest and envision more of my goals?
Hmm.
And funny you say retrograde. I know you probably meant Mercury, right?
Sure.
But get this, Saturn, why this moon is so potent on an inner level for the past and for time and space and to rethink things is Saturn will go retrograde in the 12th in 2 days. So Saturn is in Aries right now, talking to us through our birth chart, okay? The moon is in Capricorn. So again, the moon is ruled by Saturn. In 2 days, Saturn will be going retrograde in Aries, which is our self-identity, who we are, who do we want to be. So this moon and this retrograde Saturn are really working together to create I'm going to say mountain because Capricorn is the goat, the sea goat, um, and it's climbing. How does a mountain goat climb? With a lot of persistence, a lot of drive, right? A lot of like, I'm going to make it to the top of that mountain and look over. So I think that this moon can help with that. And anything that's coming up for the past can be a little bit of a block in your path. So that moon is illuminating maybe a block from the past that needs to come into consciousness to be released in order to reflect on how can I continue up that mountain.
Say that last part again. The part about the release.
So, so the moon is shining the light on a path, one's path. And being in Saturn, that could bring up the past. And being in the moon, bring up an emotional situation. So the moon is illuminating, shining a light on you to be able to release that, to transform that into something where you can continue on the path up the mountain.
Wow. So the situation I explained, I spoke with a psychic. That was also random. This is 2 days ago.
Oh, 2 days ago you spoke?
Uh-huh. And
Ah,
before that, this situation popped back in my mind, and I was talking with some friends about it, and then spoke with a psychic, and what she and I believe in them. There
oh
are
yeah,
some, there are some,
oh yeah.
not legit. She's legit. And she had some messages from somebody that passed over connected to this event. Um, but I have to say, I never processed this. I buried it. And it's
Yeah.
like it's coming up now for me. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it here without getting in detail. I did something that people say I saved lives. It was a big thing. So I never really processed, and it was a hostage ordeal in my
Wow.
career very early. I never really processed it. I think I
Yeah.
kind of just buried it. It was just like, oh, I'll just keep going with life. And now, decades later, it's kind of coming up, but it's almost as if it's being presented to me to process it, deal with it, reflect on it. Um, and just what you're saying, like the past comes up and the path is there. I don't know what the path is, but there's a reason. I don't just think it's random.
I think that's so beautiful. So you said save lives
Yeah,
and and then you said, we bury things, and I believe this is not good or bad. I think the reason why we bury things is that we're not at a
right.
point in our evolution to be able to handle it or understand it.
Totally.
So I think that the innate wisdom of the body to bury things, but then as you go along your path, if you become conscious and they do come up, then it's the time to process. If you never process, then you're constantly burying and burying and
Sure.
burying,
Hmm.
burying it, and then it doesn't work. But now in your life, this is coming up probably to be able to help other people, to be able to understand yourself on an emotional level
Hmm.
within the everyday, within the structure or building of who you are or who you're becoming. And I think that's so beautiful. You said something else, I didn't write it down. Save lives, and you said something else that struck
I'll
me.
tell you, and I'll laser it right down.
Yeah.
Working on the radio, had just started my career, big station, substitute teacher, took students and staff, students and administration hostage. He had assault
Wow.
rifles, walked in with fatigues, everything. School was in lockdown. He chose me to read his garbage on the radio.
Wow,
And
Steve.
and every time I did, eventually he started releasing people. He did shoot some. They recovered. Um, and it
Wow.
went on for like 8, 10 hours, and it ended with him taking his life. But the entire time, I'm sitting there, I'm a kid, and the police are, read this, read this, don't screw it up, read this. And it was dog dedications, it was his epistle to the world, and all of that. Um, but I'm feeling that it came up all these different ways because, like you said, wasn't ready to deal with it back then. But now it's
No.
time to look at it. But again, it's like, wow, I didn't realize how big that was. And the psychic said some other things that this wasn't. She was just making this up. It was very specific. And and I'm going to tell you, this is freaky weird, but this individual came up in her reading.
Yeah.
And she said that, and she didn't even know what she's talking about. She's just giving me info, but said that he had some mental issues. She addressed that. I didn't say anything, and she said that he takes responsibility, and you, meaning me, was the chosen one, his chosen one for this. Yeah,
I just got chills. First of all, I just want to acknowledge, thank you for sharing that. That's like really beautiful and very, very healing. So I just want to take a breath for a moment with
thanks.
that. It's,
Again, I haven't
it's
even
just,
processed it, and I'm talking decades later. Um,
but
yeah,
this individual that had crossed over, that had his own trauma in this lifetime, he said to the psychic, it's such a very important word, which is all about Saturn and Capricorn. He said, I take responsibility.
yeah.
Almost allowing you to release. The responsibility that I feel that you had, Steve, was to be able to stay present and to do what you needed to do.
Yeah. I didn't even know how to do
You
it.
didn't know,
Yeah. I
and
was
so it's
just
very karmic. That's a very
mm,
karmic This is all Capricorn and Saturn. And what an opportunity for you to heal.
I guess.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but I want to ask you this question because somebody
Please.
said this, not related to this, but just in general. When things come up from our past, maybe random events that have taken place, and this applies to all of us now, do they come up because it is your inner being telling you you need to heal from that? That's why I'm bringing this up again. That's why you're hearing it in your mind. That's why whatever the situation was, maybe it was a rift with a relative or whatever it was, it's coming up because your inner self is saying, I need to heal from this, so I'm bringing it up to you, just throwing this out there. Do you feel that that's true possibility?
I think it's truth, and I think it's very authentic. And I think it's coming up, and these things come up for all of us because that's what the soul came in to do this lifetime. It's almost like a soul contract. I'm going to do this, whether, this trauma that's happened or however, and I'm going to put it together. I'm going to put the puzzle together so I can evolve. Because obviously, Steve, you're here to do something very important in this lifetime through your work, through the dedication and commitment to relationships over the radio. Again, I want to just what I wrote. The goal of this moon in Capricorn, excuse me, I want to say the opportunities I wrote down.
Mm.
Focus on self-empowerment. That's taking your power back from your situation or anybody's situation that what's ever coming up at this full moon, just know that it's truth.
Mm.
And strengthening committed relationships. I feel like you're very committed to the people that you work with, whether you see them or not. You're committing through your voice, through your words, through your energy. The opportunity. The goal of this full moon, overcome trust issues and let go of control.
Ooh, this is powerful. It really is.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
that's what I had written down to talk about because I think it's really important. I think that this moon in Capricorn, and then 2 days later, Saturn going retrograde, because Saturn is all about testing. Did we do the work? Did we pass the test? How spiritual, because I think Saturn is very spiritual. How can you grow from this? Retrograde meaning, how do I redirect my energy? How do I reconnect to whatever situation has come up for you from the past? Because Saturn and Capricorn are the past, and it helps us to go into the future. We can't negate it. We can settle it in someplace until it's time, Saturn, to bring it up. So the question that I had was, what aligns with your core values as you go through anybody? And Steve, that he so generously and authentically shared with myself and the audience. What are your core values around what you might be feeling today? What you might be moving forward in this cycle? It's an opportunity. It always is.
So this is powerful stuff. I mean,
I know.
it
Wow.
really
Can't
is.
make it up.
No, you can't. Focus on your, so you're saying, obviously focus on self-empowerment, but reflect during this period on your core values and is everything aligning with them? And if not, maybe you need to make some adjustment.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Well, I find it fascinating how you use astrology to help us move our lives forward through coaching. Because there it is right there.
Yeah.
This is, this, you could just say, well, you know what? You got to let go of control. You got to focus on trust issues in your life, et cetera, et cetera. All good. But this is backed up by astrology, i.e., science. It's not just like, well, let me pull this one out of the air. Let me pull that one out of the air. Um, for me, powerful, like
Yeah.
times 100.
And that's what I love about it. And that's what,
Mm,
I listen to the whisper of my soul is because I didn't know, how do I integrate astrology for me, even when I was doing my graduate work, something that was very important to me was the everyday. And believe me, if you looked at my chart, I'm very Aquarian. I could be really out there and like very much into the future, but I also have other things that bring that down to earth for me, thank God. And I was always interested, how can I bring this into the everyday so people can actually use it and connect with the universe? Because again, all you got to do is look up. We're part of it. So
right.
how do we connect with it so we can actually walk the talk, which is Capricorn and Saturn? That's why you go through so many tests, so much karmic release, and so much karmic understanding. It's not so much karma about I did this bad, I did that bad. I don't believe in that. What I believe in karma is the experiences that we've experienced. How do they affect us psychologically, spiritually, mentally, and physically? How can we bring those into Moon and Capricorn, Saturn, a framework that holds that sacredly to be able to evolve?
all of these things here focus on trust issues, let go of control, focus on self-empowerment. We should be doing it anyway. But for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
during this period, even more powerful. And even in my situation that presented from decades ago, I'm reflecting on that in terms of why I haven't used that to my advantage in terms of resilience. I never looked at it that way.
Beautiful.
I never looked at it that way. I looked at it more of like, oh, I'm just doing my job, back to work the next day. But there was a lesson in there for me to realize that, you pulled that off. You can pull off, you can do a lot. But I never saw it that way. Decades have
Of
gone
course you
by.
didn't. And
No,
you know what? You couldn't see it that way then, Steve,
no.
because that would have been very egotistical at that point in that
Yeah,
moment, right?
yeah,
It would have been like, well, of course, but you had to go through a lot of years, and Capricorn is about years. It's about maturity. Saturn's about how do we mature. Now it's coming up like, yeah, resilience. What does resilience mean to you? What does it feel like in the body? And now, how can I use it? Because you're very communicative. You work you work with the public. How can I do that to instill that? Yeah, we all have that resilience.
yeah. We
And
do.
who has better resilience than children?
And I don't think we give ourselves credit for what we've overcome in our lives. We
Yeah.
just take it for, I don't want to say take it for granted, but we just, that's
Well, I
life,
think we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wonderful
that's how
talking
we
with you.
protect ourselves. Oh my God, it's
We're
so good talking with you today.
out of
And I
time.
just want to
Damn.
I know, I just want to honor you again. I feel very honored to have spoken with you in this way and really acknowledge and validate what a great human being you are.
I appreciate that. And it's
Absolutely.
not about me. I share these things because others may
Yes,
have things from their past come up
absolutely.
and maybe they didn't process it and maybe they can grow from it. And all I'm going to say is what others say. I'm just doing my job. That's
Yeah,
really what
that's
it
right.
is.
And you know what? You're using your gift. How wonderful is that? So embrace this full moon because it's really deep inside you.
Exciting. It's an exciting time when you take a look at these things that we talked about. I'll be sharing them. How do we connect with
Me too.
you, Nancy? What's the best way?
So you could go to my website, which is thewhisperingsoul.net. You can also go to my Instagram, The Whispering Soul Astrology. And I just want to say real quick, if you go ahead and check me out on my Instagram, I do an astro mantra every day. So you can get a little bit of energy update,
Oh,
what's
I love
going on.
that. Oof.
Yeah. And then you can, Nancy at thewhisperingsoul.net and 203-770-8938. And I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for today and looking forward next time we get together.
Looking forward to next week. Take care, Steve. Have a
You
beautiful
too.
full moon.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.